Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm green. Huh. Wow, everything is green. Wow, that Espeon is green. Whoa, even this plant is green. Say hi to the plant, everybody. It has eyeballs on it, like Barry. Is it going to be a new sidekick for the channel? Probably not. What's its name? Tell you what, I'll let you guys name the plant. All right. And then every single comment, it's not even talking about Green Bull or like the main focus of the video. It's just like, all right, everybody, let's come together. We gotta name this plant. All right, now let's open the proceedings. I suggest, I'm not even gonna suggest anything as an example, okay? I'll just let you guys have fun with it. I'll make a video. The next video I make after this one will have a dedication to what the name of the damn plant will be, okay? There'll be a chat, there'll be a whole thread down there, like 300 comments deep, and then it's like, all right, we finally decided. This is the name of the plant. Okay, so, today, we are talking about chapter 1052, because there's a lot of crap that happened in 1052. We're not even going to get to all of it today, but I wanted to discuss the major points, which of course was the arrival of Admiral Green Bull at the end of the chapter, alright? Now this guy, this dude right here, has been elusive for so long in this story. There's literally a joke that he has the power of the silhouette fruit, because every time we've seen him, like the last 3 or 4 appearances he's had, he's always been in silhouette, all right? So he was first mentioned by Fujitora, or he was mentioned alongside Fujitora during Dressrosa, because Fujitora showed up as one of the new admirals after the time skip, and he was mentioned as like, okay, there was this world draft, you know, throughout the time skip, okay, because Aki Inu took over, and he's like, all right, we need to get some, hold on, I need a cigar, except I don't have a cigar, I'll use this marker, all right, we need some new Marines, really powerful Marines, too. We need the best Marines. Like, call a draft, you know? And so Fujitora, Isho, and Green Bull... wait, what was his real name? I don't know, actually, if we know it. It's Green Bull... Ryokyugu is his just name in Japanese. Like, it just means Green Bull in Japanese. I don't think we actually know his real name yet, but we'll probably find it out in the next chapter, okay? So, the idea, though, is that there are these really strong people that weren't Marines already. They were just, like, regular citizens in the One Piece world that were drafted into the world government, but not just as foot soldiers, but as admirals, okay? So I like to think, and I've said this before, Fujitora was this really powerful swordsman that, like, you know, he blinded himself to stop seeing, like the travesties of mankind, and he lived as sort of a mountain hermit on some random island way off in the middle of nowhere in, like, the South Blue or something. And, you know, Akainu Sakazuki might have been his friend before, like, maybe they knew each other before the draft or whatever, and so after the events of Marineford and after Sakazuki took over as fleet admiral, he's like, Fujitora, you're drafted. I mean, Isho, you're drafted. Come on, here's your coat. And he's just like, I suppose, you know, and so he joined, right? Now, not really sure how the situation went with Green Bull, but he also seems to have sort of a relationship with Akainu. They were sort of like, you know, having a little back and forth as he was approaching Wano, where he's just like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in the sky. I already told you, Sakazuki. And he's just like, no, specifically, where are longitude and latitude, dumbass? Come on. We're a military operation here. Be specific. And it's like, I'm in the skies over Wano. I don't know. Like, oh, there's some giant koi fish, I guess. You know, whatever. So, they seem to have different ways of how they interact with Akainu, which is very interesting. Could be very funny in the future. So, yeah, that was the first time he was mentioned was at Dressrosa. And then right after Dressrosa, when Doflamingo was, you know, chained up on that marine transfer vessel, and Osuru was there. That's actually one of my favorite scenes with Doflamingo, but just because Doflamingo and Osuru are sort of rivals, you know, just like how Luffy's marine rival is Smoker, and just how Rogers was Garp, Doflamingo's was Osuru, okay? That was like the thorn in his side for most of his years when he was an active pirate, okay? So he kind of views Osuru as sort of an equal, if nothing else. And so he's chained up on this marine vessel. He knows he lost, you know, Luffy Luffy beat him and everything. And he's there talking to Osuru, and Osuru asks him a question, like, what did you think was going to happen or whatever? Did you think you were going to get away with this? And Doflamingo was like, to answer your question with another question, what do you think will happen now? And then he goes into this long tirade about, like, who do you think controls the ocean right now, Osuru-san? Do you think it's the emperors? Do you think it's the warlords or the members of the worst generation? And I think the conclusion that Doflamingo actually made at that time, things have changed since then, but at the time, Doflamingo came to the conclusion that it was actually the Marines that were actually maintaining a little bit of a lead in the world. They were starting to maintain prominence in the world, and that's mostly because of Sakazuki's reforms, right? Sakazuki's whole absolute justice thing, he's going to, like, really go overboard with, like, we're going to recruit a bunch of Marines, we're going to train them, they're going to beat the pirates down, we're not going to do this the same way that, Sengoku did this. We're going full steam ahead. So Doflamingo was like, I think the Marines are kind of winning right now, but that could change at the drop of a hat, and the hat has been dropped. So we saw a scene there with the admirals. We saw Kizaru, who's the only admiral that still remains in the same position as he did 2 years ago, and then we had Fujitora there, and then we also have, boom, Green Bull there, okay? But once again, he's in silhouette. We just sort of see his hair, and that's it, okay? Then later on, he actually does show up at Reverie. Like, he's there, sitting across the table from Fujitora on the veranda, like, enjoying, well, Fujitora is eating a meal. I think he was having, like, soba noodles or something, and then, Ryokyugu is there, Green Bull, and he's just like, I will not eat. I haven't eaten in forever. I'm fasting or whatever. But even then, when it's a perfectly sunny day outside, on top of the most giant mountain in the world, sun is, shining down on them, he's still under the silhouette. Ooh, it's just like, come on, just show us what he looks like. We sort of got an implication, like, his hair, I think his hairstyle has actually changed, although Oda does that a lot, so don't take, like, this and this to be a 100%, like, guarantee on what Green Bull is going to look like, because I may remind you that Kanjuro's original appearance in the silhouette was very different on how Kanjuro actually showed up, and I think we all remember the way that Kaido originally appeared. Yeah, that didn't really pan out so well. Oda can make some changes. Maybe that's honestly the reason. Maybe Oda just couldn't decide on Green Bull's hairstyle, so he wanted to try a few different kinds out, right? So I guess we'll see what he finally settled on, all right? So Green Bull is going to be arriving, most likely he's going to be arriving at the government ships, that are outside of Wano, that are like, well, I guess the Gorosei were sort of commanding them to, like, abandon the operation because Wano had not been opened, and so it's still like a impenetrable fortress, and they're like, okay, well, there's no point in sticking around, so, I guess they were about to give the retreat order when all of a sudden the Den Mushi got hijacked by, I'm assuming, Green Bull, and he's like, CP0, don't move, I'm almost there. Now, I guess that could have been somebody else. That could have been, I don't know, the Sword. It could have been Sword, maybe like Drake's team going to retrieve him. It could have been maybe the Revolutionaries masquerading, pretending to be Marines or pretending to be an Admiral. That would actually be an interesting twist. But for right now, as it stands, I'm just going to assume that that was Green Bull giving orders to the Cypher Pool Zero, like, hey, sit tight, don't move, I'm almost there. I'll be able to help you out. And that last remaining member of Cypher Pool Zero, the dude that managed to get away from Onigashima in one piece, he shows up and he's talking to the Gorosei, and they're like, okay, well, all right, we can't conquer Wano today, but we could still get Robin, right? And then, he's like, yeah, sure, of course. You want Nico Robin. Of course you do. You're the Gorosei. Well, I am a trained member of Cypher Pool Aegis Zero. I am an assassin amongst other things. Yeah, I can get you Robin, absolutely. I know everybody else you've sent to get her has failed, in fact, resulting in the complete devastation and obliteration of our Judiciary Island 2 years ago, but I'm the guy right here. This is the dude that can, and he has to play it up because he knows if he goes back empty-handed, he's kind of dead, He's not kind of dead, he is dead. They'll probably lock him up and do the same thing they did with Who's Who, you know what I mean? So he's like, oh man, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And he's the commanding officer here. I don't think Lucci and Kaku are there. They were still at Marijois giving the orders, okay? I think it's just a bunch of random government soldiers that they sent, right? And so he's just like, oh crap, now what am I gonna do? And then Green Bull lands, and he's like, all right, listen, we might not be able to take Wano in a giant invasion or anything like that, but I'm Admiral Green Bull, damn it. I can easily sneak in there. I can fly with my magical flower devil fruit powers. And, yeah, I could sneak in and get Robin, yeah, no problem. Leave it to me. And then the CP0 agent's going to be like, oh, you can? Oh, that would be great. It's like, yeah. Now, I don't know. We don't know a lot about Green Bull's personality. He seems rather easygoing, but probably not as easygoing as Kizaru. I don't know. It's okay. So each of the admirals sort of have their own perspective of justice. That's kind of the whole deal with the Marines in general, right? So Sakazuki is very strict. He is absolute justice. He is, the Marines are the good guys. Pirates are the bad guys. All of them. You raise a Jolly Roger, you are asking to get burned to the ground. That is how Sakazuki operates, okay? And also, he's very strict with the Marines. If the Marines, if you're turning tail and running away from battle, you deserve to die right there on the spot, like we saw at Marineford. He does not play around with that shit, okay? So then we had Kuzan, Aokiji, who was much more, not lazy, although he did prescribe a lazy justice. He could be very active when he needed to be, but he was much more, like, moral with his justice, okay? He was just like, listen, you start siding in absolutes, only Sith deal in absolutes, like, let's pay attention to that. Yeah, Aokiji was a big Star Wars fan, absolutely. So he's just like, listen, it changes depending on the situation, depending on the context of, what justice really is, okay? And it's actually didn't always used to be his sense of justice. He used to abide by a thing called blazing justice back in his younger years, back with, like, during Ohara, when he was a vice admiral. And I think it was that event at Ohara that, not really eschewed, but, changed his perspective of justice. You know what I mean? So that's Aokiji. Then we have Kizaru, who just follows unclear justice, who, I don't know, he's probably the most random and hard to read out of all of the admirals, where it's like, if you bump into Kizaru on the streets, it's pretty much a flip of a coin chance. Like, let's say you're a pirate, it's a flip of a coin whether or not Kizaru's just going to, like, let you go and just be like, oh, hi there, how are you doing? I was just here to pick up some brownies from this there bakery. Oh, you're pirates? Well, you guys have a good day. Yeah, or tails, boom, light speed kick through the damn, skull, and then you're just dead on the floor. But he's still gonna go pick up those brownies, That's Kizaru. Fujitora. And I've made videos about all their senses of justice, by the way, if you want, greater detail of that. Fujitora's justice is much, even more moral, I think, than Kuzan's, pretty much. He follows it in the idea that he understands how corrupted the Marines and the world government is, and it sort of, like, sickens Fujitora that he's part of it, but also I think Fujitora sees himself as the person that's going to change the Marines, and he wants to do something completely different that no one else has done, okay? So that's, like, the example, like, for example, when at Dressrosa, the order was to, like, the same situation at Alabasta, kind of cover it up. But then Fujitora was like, no, I'm not going to cover it up. The Marines dropped the ball here. We allowed Doflamingo to be part of the warlords, and he was this corrupt person that ended up almost wiping out this entire island, and the same shit happened with Crocodile a few years ago. No, we're going to take the fall for this. And then he bowed before the citizens of Dressrosa and their king, King Riku, and then he also commanded all of his men to do the same thing, and that really pissed off Sakazuki, because that, like, damages the image of the Marines a bit, or at least it's not the image that Sakazuki wants the Marines to cut, So that's Fujitora, and also he just looks at the world. He doesn't judge people based on if they're pirates or Marines or revolutionaries or whatever. He views them by their character, okay? And so he really likes Luffy for that reason, okay? Now, what about Green Bull? What with Green Bull? His attitude so far, he seems really laid back. He just seems to, like, not really be nearly as serious as Sakazuki was, but a little bit more direct than Kizaru was. He honestly seems like the kind of guy, this is going to be a weird way to take this, but if you were going to tell me that, like, Fujitora genuinely wants to reform the Marines from within, Green Bull, I could see him being like a spy or like a double agent for the Revolutionary Army. Like, for some reason I went in that direction. I don't know. It's just, it makes sense, because he's just like, it's like, oh, don't worry, Sakazuki, I got it. He's just always laid back and he's chill, so you can't really get a good read on the guy. But he's just like, yeah, I'm strong. I could do stuff, but it's like whenever I feel like it. And I'm going to do it, if I feel like going to Wano, I'm going to go to Wano, right? Because it also seemed to imply that, like, he went against Sakazuki's orders, because he's just like, hey, just don't do anything unnecessary. Because it sort of reads like Green Bull went up to Sakazuki and said, I'm going to Wano. And Sakazuki said, no, you're not. And he's like, yeah, I am. And then he just flies away. Sakazuki's like, son of a... just don't do anything unnecessary. Yeah, sure, whatever, man. And just like, ugh. And I was just like, I don't know. If it turned out that he was, I think it would make sense, if nothing else, right? And it seems also that Green Bull and Fujitora are, like, good friends, because they were, like, recruited at the same time. So, who knows? I don't know. Maybe it might be part of an elaborate operation for Dragon to take down the Tenryubito. Fujitora helps to reform the Marines from within, because that's something, like, he genuinely wants to do. And meanwhile, Green Bull might just be a plant for the revolutionaries. See what I did there? See what I did there? I said plant for the revolutionaries, because it's a plant. It's a plant. By the way, do you have a name for the plant yet? Okay, are we good? All right, still, just, keep working on it down there. Okay. So, his devil fruit power. Let's just talk about that. I've thrown it out there before. Honestly, at the moment, I think his devil fruit power is the least interesting or the least mysterious thing, because, like, for so long now, we assumed it was something nature-based. We never really had a devil fruit that was completely related to, like, summoning plants and, like, making plants grow. Yes, we did have the one with the ninja guy in Not Strong World in Film Z. I know people are going to mention that dude, but non-canon, okay? We also had a character in Film Z, I remind you, that basically had, like, a limited version of Jewelry Bonnie's ability to, like, de-age people, but it was only, like, backwards 12 years in intervals. It was weird. Anyway, yeah. Point is, that was a movie. That was non-canon, so we haven't had a canon character that can just, like, sprout plant life and do, like, the technique that, like, Hashirama did from Naruto. I've used that example a lot because that's basically probably what Green Bull's capable of. In the last chapter, we saw him have a giant dandelion, what it looked like on his back, and it was like the stem of a dandelion coming out of his back, and then he, on, like, the top of it was actually spinning so he could actually fly around like a helicopter, like... Okay, so, yeah, he probably has the ability to summon plants whenever he wants. Now... that is a very simple power to understand, and we could expect it, but also very devastating in exactly what he could do with it. I threw out the idea in the review that, honestly, Green Bull could just land in Wano and then just, like, snap his fingers if he's really skilled at using this in the same way that the other admirals are skilled with their fruits. And he could just raise an entire forest from the ground, or maybe he's like Johnny Appleseed or something. He picks a bunch of seeds out of his pockets and is like, hold on a second, hold on. And he hands them to, like, I don't know, some birds or something. I don't know how it would work. And he spreads them, like, just spread these seeds all over Wano. And then he comes back at the end of the day and he's like, okay. And then the whole forest just springs back. And that would actually be very, very helpful to the citizens of Wano, and maybe Fujitora. Yes, the Marines don't have an official duty to help the people of Wano because they're, not allied with the world government, and that's the whole point. You can only have Marine protection if you're allied with the government. But, characters like Aokiji and Fujitora and maybe Green Bull don't really care about that. They're Marines, so they also care about the citizens of One Piece, about the common people. So maybe maybe Green Bull would realize, like, hey, look, I understand the world government really wants to get their hands on Wano, and I know they're not allied with us, and I know they probably don't want to be allied with us, but, like, these citizens are starving. They just spent 20 years under the control of a despot, and a giant dragon god, slavery and all these horrible conditions, and their entire island was just deforested and, like, polluted and shit. That's not cool. That has nothing to do with being a Marine or a pirate or, a world government official. That has nothing to do with politics, okay? That is just people and children are starving. I'm going to fix this. And then he uses his ability to bring back all of the trees and the farmland and make the land fertile again so everybody can, like, plant and stuff and, like, grow the crops and everything like that. If he has the ability to do that, I would love to see him do that to give us an indication for his character. Where maybe he doesn't care about anything like that. Maybe it's not even like where Fujitora wants to change the way the Marines are. Maybe it's just Green Bull literally just only cares about the common man, to the point where it's just like, yeah, I'm a Marine, but that's what my main focus is going to be on, okay? Maybe to the point even where, like, let's say there was, like, a city or something that was occupied by the Revolutionary Army, and the Marines are, like, sending Green Bull out. You got to go wipe out all of the revolutionaries in that city, okay, because they've took it over. And Green Bull is just like, I'm not doing that. There's, like, regular, normal citizens that live there, like children and, like, elderly people. I'm not going to do that, you know? And they're like, well, you're an admiral. And he's like, I don't care. I'm not doing it. Like, it might be something like that. Maybe he just only cares about that. Also, it could flip the script completely. Maybe he's just, like, a horrible person. But I really don't get that vibe from him. I really don't get the vibe from Fujitora or Green Bull that they are, like, bad people, okay? And honestly, I don't really get that vibe from, like, anyone except for Sakazuki, honestly, because Sakazuki really does go overboard with it, where he's, like burning down entire evacuation ships from Ohara just on the off chance that maybe Robin could have been on one of them, right? Like, a lot of people died there, okay? So he goes overboard with it. But all the other admirals really have a very, very different and unique perspectives of justice that makes sense, and you can kind of see both sides of it. Even Kizaru, who's, like, you know, the epitome of, like, very random, you know, you can still kind of see that, right? Anyway, yeah, so that's his Devil Fruit ability. He's also definitely going to have observation haki, armament haki. You know, it's weird, we actually don't have a lot of Marines that have Conquerors. Very unusual, as a matter of fact. Sengoku was confirmed to have Conquerors. Pretty sure Garp does. I mean, it would be weird if he didn't. You know, but other than that, we don't really have a lot of confirmations. I don't think that, like, none of the other admirals we know of have Conquerors haki. If I'm wrong, let me know. But you know, I think none of them do. So I don't think Green Bull would either, just to follow the trend. But maybe he does, although I doubt it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the main thing here, this is what I mean. Like, I wrote down a bunch of stuff for this video, and I'm still on the first bullet point, which is Green Bull discussion. Okay, so these are going to be multiple videos, but the next thing I wanted to talk about was Robin, right? So, like, let's say he lands, and maybe Green Bull is like, okay, I do side with the government's idea that we have to capture Robin, because, you know, she does have the ability to awaken the ancient weapons, and that can cause trouble for the rest of the world. Like, even if the Straw Hats are not bad people, it's too much of a risk, you know what I mean? So it's like, I will go capture Robin. Here's the thing that's scary, and a lot of people brought this up in the last review. Robin was nowhere to be seen in the last chapter. And I didn't notice that. And I'm really kicking myself for not noticing that, because Robin is one of my favorite characters. Like, how did I not notice that Robin was not in this chapter? We see every single one of the Straw Hats. We see all of them either in the palace or at the Tokage port. Okay? You know, we had Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Brook, Chopper, Jinbei. Yes, and then Yamato, if you want to include Yamato as a Straw Hat. We all saw them at the palace having the baths, and then, oh, Nami as well. Nami was there as well. And then at the port, we saw Usopp and Frankie working on all the ships, and, you know, Frankie was fixing up the Shogun and everything like that. Okay, he's fixing up the Shogun. I have built Battle Frankie 38. Also, I've built Mecha Orochi. I am Lord Orochi. I am Lord Orochi. Why would you build that? It's like, yeah, you're right. It wasn't a really smart idea. Oh, now he's rampaging. Komurasaki! Komurasaki! It's like, we got rid of Godzilla. Now we built Mecha Godzilla. Why? It's just like, I don't know. Thought it'd be cool. It's just like, okay. But no, he rebuilt the Frankie Shogun, not Orochi Shogun. Okay. So they were there. So where was Robin? We actually don't know. I would like to think Robin went off on her own, maybe into the depths of the castle to research, because now that they have control of the castle, they can actually see. Remember that room that Brook went down into as a ghost? And he's like, oh, there was a room filled with these very creepy dolls, and there was a poneglyph in that room, but it wasn't a red poneglyph. It was just a regular one, right? There were also the ones that were on Onigashima that Robin didn't get to see either. Law went down and saw a few of them. He only saw the blue one, though. He didn't see the red one. They actually Actually, we have yet to see Kaido's red poneglyph, his road poneglyph, as a matter of fact. Yeah, we haven't seen that one yet. Probably somewhere in the depths of Onigashima, behind like a cage or like a very secure location. Like probably the most secure location in all of Onigashima is probably the vault where they kept the road poneglyph, right? But Onigashima's right there parked outside the capital, so it should be easy to get to. So either Robin was in the palace, in the flower capital, examining the poneglyph in the vault that Brooks saw that was surrounded by the creepy dolls, or she was on Onigashima in the wreckage, rummaging through everything, looking at the poneglyph that Law found, and then also looking for the road poneglyph, because they still need that. They still need to find the road poneglyph to actually figure out where they're going, right? And they're still missing one, the elusive fourth one, right? So it's okay. It's okay, though. Robin is probably fine, off on her own in an empty, ruined castle with nobody around to see if she gets captured by... Oh, that's not good. Oh, shit. That's really not good now that I think about that. You know what I think this is a good time for? In typical One Piece fashion. To be continued. Yeah, but first we have Iguana Facts. Then we'll get to this in another video. All right, kick that intro into high gear.
Welcome to Iguana Facts with Tekking.
Damn straight, that's what I'm talking about. Every single intro for everything should include banjos in some capacity. Are you with me? All right, so let's talk about iguanas today. So last time on Iguana Facts, we talked about the green iguana, right? Which is the most widespread iguana all over the world out of one of the two species of iguana, honestly. Technically, I guess there's three, but one is a subspecies, so there's only two. Whatever, we'll get to it when we get to it. Point is, the green iguana, if somebody has an iguana for a pet, it is most likely going to be a green iguana. In fact, it actually legally can only be a green iguana because this iguana, the Antillean iguana, or the lesser Antillean iguana, is actually critically endangered. So I find this one way more fascinating than the green iguana, which is like least concern, and it's kind of all over the place, right? And then I guess not all over the place, it's not in every part of the world, but it's the one that's like the most populous, right? Meanwhile, you have this other species of iguana that only lives on like 3 islands on the Lesser Antilles, and that's it, okay? By the way, quick geography lesson since we're here, and geography is everything. We have this is all part of the Caribbean, okay? So you have the Greater Antilles, which make up, you have Cuba as well as Hispaniola. Hispaniola is not a country. It's actually the island where Haiti is on the western coast, and then Dominican Republic is on the eastern coast, okay? But the island is called Hispaniola, and also you have Jamaica that is there as well as the Greater Antilles. And then the Southern Antilles, or the Lesser Antilles, are the island chain that dots all the way down to South America, okay? Ending with like Trinidad and Tobago, which is off the coast of Venezuela, all right? So these are the islands where like St. Kitts and Nevis are, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados. I don't know if Barbados, I think Barbados is considered part of this. It's a little bit off to the side, but I think it is. Dominica is there, and there's a bunch of other islands like Guadalupe that are not considered countries. They're like separate, like, you know, parts of America or the Caribbean or not. It's weird. You can look up in how these islands actually factor in, but that's just a little bit there. So that's the Lesser Antilles, and this iguana, the Lesser Antillean iguana, only lives on like certain islands like Dominica and Guadalupe as part of these islands, okay? And so these things are very critically endangered, and the reason they're critically endangered is, for one, habitat destruction. Also, they have some fearsome predators that were introduced into the areas where they're living, like cats and dogs and the dreaded mongoose. One day, mongoose, one day. Anyway, we also have just hunting of them as well. And also, the main reason, though, the main reason why the Lesser Antillean iguana is almost like completely wiped out, is critically endangered, is because of the green iguana. Because the green iguana was introduced to these islands sometimes by accident and sometimes on purpose, and like by basically it become an invasive species, and the invasive species kind of spreads everywhere, and the Lesser Antillean iguanas mate with the green iguanas, so they're like hybridization, and it's like decreasing the original Lesser Antillean iguana population. You might also be asking, how does a green iguana accidentally just wash ashore on an island? Hurricane. Yeah, back in 1995, Hurricane Lois, Lois, just blew in and I guess swept up a bunch of iguanas on one island. They're just hanging out, just eating, plants and whatever. And there's like, whoa! Just get washed ashore on another island like, oh, welcome to Guadalupe. Okay, and so the green iguana chills out there on Guadalupe with the lesser Antillean iguana, and they start getting it on, and their populations are severely, lowered because of that. So there you go. That's the situation. So yeah, protect the lesser Antillean iguana from mongooses, dogs, cats, and I guess other green iguanas. So that's how that goes. But yeah, that was a good one. That took me that might actually hold the record for the most takes I've had to do for an Animal Facts. Not even kidding. I've been recording for 37 minutes. I ended the Green Bull discussion at 24 minutes or something around there, I think. Not even kidding. I have been here, keep messing up iguana facts. This is like the 12th take, okay? So that might hold a record, all right? Anyway, thanks for watching. Tekking, bye. Let me know about the plant below, and we can come to a consensus here on something, all right? Thanks for watching. Later.